governors of the South, South and Southeast region have reaffirmed their faith in the unity of the country.
Now, they are promising to promote an indivisible country through regional collaboration that will promote common national interest. Now, the governors, while briefing newsmen on Sunday after their meeting in Port Harcourt, also lamented what they described as neglect for both regions by the federal government in the area of infrastructure development. Interim chairman of the forum and governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel, said the group also took a position on other issues affecting both regions, such as national politics, economic development, among others. Well, the meeting, which commenced on Sunday night and ended in the early hours of Monday, had in attendance 7 governors and 4 deputy governors.
Despite the best of efforts by the constituent state governments, today the 2 regions are more politically and economically marginalized within the nation, environmentally degraded and deliberated, neglected by the federal government in appointments and provisions of basic development infrastructures. None of the airports and seaports located in our regions is reasonably functional. Even the few federal roads are not in good shape.
The need for these contiguous regions to come together has been long expected by this country. However, some divisive tendencies held our regions captive, impeding in much needed regional integration.
All right, those were excerpts from the meeting.
Yes.
Now we have joining us from Port Harcourt studio the National Secretary General of the Ijaw Youth Council, Alfred Kemepadu. Alfred, it's good to have you join us right now.
Good morning.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning, Azizat. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
All right, Alfred, I know that you were following that meeting by the governors from the Southeast and South-South. How satisfied are you that in the first place, or this is supposed to be their second meeting, they are meeting and they're discussing issues of common interest?
Yeah, basically we are excited. Recently, you may have realized that we had requested even the IOCs to relocate their headquarters to the Niger Delta, not for the fun of it, but because we had opined that it will cause the kind of industrial revolution that is required of this region, you know. So presently, within that narrative, we can see that governors of the South-South, in their capacity, are coming together, including the Southeast, to begin to view these things from the perspectives we had always agitated for. So for us, we're excited. For us, we're happy to partner with them and everybody who will yield to the voice of reason to ensure that we develop this country from all regions to the benefit of the entire country.
Of course, that is the angle the president spoke from while he addressed the country. Now, the governors from the 2 regions, like we said here, are trying to integrate and then, you know, chart a common course for the people of that region. But then they're saying that they have been marginalized. So as a member of the Niger Delta, part of the South-South region, what would you have these governors do first before going to the federal government to say that this is what we want for the marginalized regions, according to them?
I didn't get your question correctly.
What should be at the front burner of the agenda of the governors from the 2 regions now that they want to project something good for themselves?
Oh, good. I think what should be on the front burner for the governors is for them to less politics and up economics.
From their body language, we think they have realized more of that, and we commend them. So the governors should begin to think of the economic prosperity of the entire region. Let's do more of economics than politics. Let's begin to think about the infrastructure that will tickle this economy in this region. Let's begin to think about the policies, the programs that will tickle the economy of the region. For example, you heard the governor talking about the seaport. You begin to ask questions like, why is it that this place is so abundant, it's so rich with the rivers and the oceans and everything, it has the oil and gas flowing in there, but you don't have functional seaports around this environment that oil fields are. All these things are consequence upon past policies in the past. Come back to the issue of the relocation of the IOC. This usual blackness that this region is not safe, even when the crime diary, the facts before the security agencies have presented to us to say otherwise, that the region is safe. People like say this region is not safe. It's totally unnecessary. So the region is safe to accommodate, and you may also agree with me that until about 1999, 2000, we didn't even have these pockets of militancy and whatnot. And before 1999, 2000, the oil companies were never here. Their headquarters were never here. It was far away from this region. So it tells me that it's a total blackmail and it's bad politics against our people not to have the headquarters of the IOC in this place, which ultimately reduces the economic viability of this region. So, first of all, coming back to your question, we want the governors to begin to look at the potential we have in this region, not just the oil. Let me give you an example. Volvo said by 2019, their cars will be going on electricity. So oil may not be the main thing. So we're expecting the governors to come together, take advantage of the few times that we can still have the oil potent for us, to begin to advance our economy beyond oil. We need to begin to look at economies such as tourism. We need to begin to look at agriculture. Don't forget, when you go back to history and you begin to read and hear about things like the rich oil rivers effectively. That oil that he's talking about is not crude oil. It's not the oil that we take per barrel that we sell. We're talking about palm oil, which is one of the mainstay of economies like Malaysia. We have the estuary power, like I said in several forums, our real wealth is in the ocean. So these are the things we expect the governors to come together and begin to look at how they can take advantage of their comparative advantages, how they can begin to overlap and begin to promote the economy within the So that's what we begin to do. So sovereignty, like I said in my intro, we are expecting them to look more into economy rather than politics.
All right, Alfred, it's good you talked about the issue of them harnessing where they have comparative advantage. Although from the communique they read out, if you listen to some of the points they made there, they resonated the issue of marginalization and the same old rhetorics that we've been hearing from the Niger Delta. But the state governors all have the power, one way or the other, to make a change in the lives of their economic and political destinies. Is this where they should begin from? Like as I asked earlier on, is this where they should really begin from, where we de-emphasize the attention of going to Abuja, the attention of pointing fingers at what Abuja is not doing, so that they can now take their own destinies, their economic, political, and social destinies in their own hands?
I get your point. What you're trying to say is how much have they been accountable for what have come to them so far within the year? How much have they been able to put that into? That's another kettle of fish. But this is not also a bad point for them to start from. Let me tell you, when you say this old rhetoric of marginalization, it's not an old rhetoric. You should rather describe it as this old injustice, this constant race, this conspiratorial agenda of the federal government to marginalize our people. For example, let me tell you something. Like the Niger Delta governors are rumored to have been receiving 30% derivation. This is not also true. Research has also shown that the 30% derivation that is meant for the development of the region wasn't even up to 13%. We are talking about policies that will further develop the region. For now, the Niger Delta governor, I'm not spokesman for the Niger Delta governors. for them to begin to ask questions like this. At home here, we are also holding them accountable for many things. And we can confidently tell you that a whole lot of them have upped their game. You can see what is happening in Bayelsa State, where a governor like Governor Sarah is single-handedly building a 3.5 kilometer cargo airport. That's not supposed to be a state government project. We are talking about a seaport going to Ajay. That's not supposed to be a state government project. These are projects that the federal government should come to tickle this about. Let me tell you something. Same thing in Rivers State and similar things in Akwa Ibom State and even Delta State. These are big ticket projects that we expect the federal government to come and take on, like the Branch LNG. When you do all of these things, the multiplier effect is that it tickles the economy. It creates more jobs. Let me give you an example. California is the world's 6th biggest economy. Now, if California is the world's 6th biggest economy, what does California live on? California lives on oil, a bit of oil, a bit of the Hollywoody, by that I mean the film industry, a bit of tourism, and of course shopping. And if you look at the Niger, and a little bit of agriculture, if you look at the Niger Delta, it has the trappings of the California. So what we are trying to tell the federal government is that in order to develop Nigeria, concentrate on developing the Niger Delta that has all the potentials and the trappings of rapid development. That will in turn develop the whole country. For example, when we talk about developing all the sectors, it's not just Niger Deltans that work there. Other companies, other people from other parts of the country also work there. After all, and then the NNPC and the federal government just announced a list of different MDs in the NNPC. If you look at the whole list, you see just about one Bayelsa. Every other person is a northerner. Though we are not comfortable with that. But what I'm trying to make is that when the industry is made to work, it is not only the Niger Deltans that will work. Other people will also have pride with those from the east, those from the west, those from the south, those from the south, other people who also take advantage of this. That's why we are also crossed, though we are not making any official decision that such appointments will be lopsided. That's a topic for another day.
And of
so
course,
what we are trying to say is that let the federal government begin to concentrate on the Niger. You can't have companies operate from somewhere like Lagos. You say this place is safe enough safe and increase the cost of production and begin to increase companies that belong to countries outside this environment. No.
All right, Alfred, let's move on.
Your concentration here, develop this place. It's going to sound develop the whole of this country. Just imagine that this Niger Delta region is so developed to the extent that it begins to reap income as much as California. It will change the economy of this country. It will change the income of this country. It will change the lifestyle of this whole country. You know?
And that is why the government is giving the Niger Delta attention at this time, hence the order that international oil companies should relocate to the region. Moving on, the governors of the regions as well, despite the marginalization of their regions, are still for the unity of Nigeria. And of course, they spoke glowingly about the need for Nigeria to stick together. So how do you think this statement from them will calm frayed nerves in the two regions?
Basically, the unity of Nigeria is not negotiable. We, as Nigerians, we must stay united. But how we live in that united country must be negotiated now and always. That's the point we are making. How we live, how we appropriate our resources, how we exploit ourselves, how we give appointments, just like the lopsided appointment that was just made with respect to the NNPC yesterday. All of these issues have to be negotiated. How we respect ourselves along economic, tribal, social, and political lines have to be renegotiated and respected. For us in the Niger Delta, every time we remind ourselves that in the days of the cocoa, you understand, it was in the West. Why did it? So now, coming back to the main point, the unity of Nigeria, we're excited that the South-East governors have come together to reaffirm that as Nigeria, we must remain united, we must remain a united country. The content of the unity that keeps us as a united country must be negotiated at all times. And that's best global practice all over the world. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. It just happened in Britain. Like I told you, Recently, the Scottish people, their referendum wanted to go, but today they are back. You talk about the Brexit, they are in and out. If you look at, even outside the country, you see different negotiations. You see commissions like the BRICS commission coming up, which includes the Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa recently. You talk about the needs and so that negotiation, we must continue to negotiate this country so that we can get the best out of it, the best. To say we want to break up and other things, but however, that doesn't mean that the federal government or any group of people or organizations should begin to push people to the wall. Don't forget, every group, every part of this country also has a fundamental right under the United Nations charters and other things. They have a right to referendum. But that's not the point. The point is that we must remain united as a country, just like our governors have said, that our unity and the content of our unity must be negotiated at all times.
Right, Alfred, it's good you talked about the fact that, or you resonated the president's point when you said that the unity of the country is non-negotiable. Now, the governors at the meeting also emphasized on the need to stay united. Now, in all of this resolution by the governors, what impact would it have on the agitation by groups like IPOB and all of that are mentioning and talking about Biafra?
It depends on the content of agitation you're talking about. If it's within the content of agitation to break away, I don't know what impact it's going to have on that particular one. But if it's within the content of regionalizing our prosperity, it has given us a boost. For us, the IYC, the Joint Council, who have given us a matter of 90 days before now, this is a boost for us. After now, we'll begin to start community by community engagement. We already have the template in place. We are not going about it violently. We are going about it with a whole lot of superior argument and intellectualism. But however, we are also appealing to the federal government to buy into our dialogue and our conversations and not provoke any form of violence from other places. We are also doing a lot to see how we can step aside what used to be. What I mean by what used to be is the violence and the agitation that comes in the way of, the violence thing. We're trying to step it aside. We're doing a lot. We're expecting the federal government to begin to come into this conversation with more sincerity. So if you ask me, the recent meetings by the governors and their resolve is a boost for us, the IYC, and other sister organizations like the MASOP and other organizations, for us to begin to prosper our economic agenda. And I can assure you, people like us will always lead from the front and will stop at nothing. Though we discourage violence, though we discourage anything that will break down the peace in this area. But however, don't also be deceived. Nobody can any guide. We need to say what we are supposed to say in the manner we are supposed to say it, as much as we are also bent on not promoting any speech that is divisive or that is hating in nature. But we will say it the way we want to say it. What has to be done rightly has to be done, and it must be done. When it's going to be done, we don't know. But it will be done.
Will be done, well, if you have the control, but must be done. You have to make efforts and, of course, make appeals. Now, to make the work of the governors show effectively in the integration of the regions, you just spoke about integrating with some groups in the Southeast, but what about Niger Delta region? Because there are different groups now, according to Mike, like you just said earlier, but now Niger Delta that have given threats out, giving notices to members of different ethnic groups to vacate the region. Will IYC meet with them to say that this is not the way to go? Let us push for unity of the country while we push for what is ours to be given to us, like you just said now.
Exactly. That is exactly what we are doing, and that is exactly what we are going to do. What we will continue to do. The Niger Delta, like I said, various platforms is very unsuitable. We are not giving speech for anybody to use. Every Nigerian, by the laws that establish in this country, have a right to be anywhere, especially in the Niger Delta. We want to even welcome more people into the Niger Delta. This is not a region that is anti any group of persons, whether national or foreign. We are doing that. And if you can refer to your reporters, they will let you know that this region is receptive. We are very peaceful. Just as a matter of fact, I came into this studio driven down here by a northerner. So we will not join in such debate. As you can see, we were with Shetima Yerima in Abuja when the northerners also called us their victories were in support of them. So that we will continue to prosper what unites this country. And like I said, our unity within our unity.
All right. Now that the governors have decided to come together to discuss their common interest, when it comes to socio-political advancement of the region, where do you think they should really start from if they have to take the first step now at achieving their interest and their goal?
The first thing we expect the governors to do is to collaborate with the federal government. The collaboration can come in the form of partnership. The collaboration can come in the form of the agitations they have had today. The collaboration can come in the form of having very fruitful public-private partnerships to establish infrastructures that will tickle our economy. Because once our economy steps up, the whole of this region will wear a different thing. We want to see projects like the Brass LNG come to its full function. It has so much potential. We want to see projects like the Agate Seaport and the airport in Bayelsa being supported and brought to the fore. We want to see the export processing zone in Obidiba, in Delta State, and the Maritime University in Ekakoko, being sorted. We want to see the Bonny train line and the roads to Bonny all over in River State. We want to see this kind of, economic projects that have massive economic multiplier effect that will industrialize the Niger Delta. We want to see the federal government take advantage of this region and begin to make our youth begin to see how they can take advantage of the present oil to begin to diversify into what drives other economies. We want to see the federal government and the state government come together to see how they can begin to encourage trade.
Alfred Kemekpado, you are the Secretary General of the Ijaw Youth Council. Thank you for that robust discussion on the social integration of the South, South and Southeast of Nigeria.